Hey, what's up, guys? My name is Zach Christie. Today we're going to be interviewing Galen Brunelle, our Chief Innovation Officer. He's kind of the brains behind what Bizooku looks like on the graphic side, as well as what we're going forward with marketing and all kinds of other things. Well, I'll let him talk more about what he does. If you want to find out more about who we are and what we do, go to bizooku.com, bizooku.com. Cool. So, Galen, tell us a little bit about who you are and how you got involved with Bizooku.
Sure. I grew up in Washington, and this is where I'm from, so this is home for me in the Seattle area. And I grew up looking at my dad. He's an engineer, and so I became an engineer, a bridge engineer, and decided to, I always say, take that transition from engineer to entrepreneur. So it's been a fun, passionate ride, and I just love building business. So I'm just a really passionate business builder guy. So when it came to Bizooku, building this business, I was really excited to jump on board with what Bizooku was doing.
Okay, and how did you find out? How did you guys become a part of Bizooku? I know there's a story behind that.
Quick story. I mean, I was mentoring a couple young guys into entrepreneurialism, and I was at a Starbucks, and they were giving me some limiting beliefs on, people don't listen to me. I don't have a lot of contacts, kind of deal.
Right.
And so I was thinking, monkey see, monkey do. So I could tell them everything I wanted to in the world, but if I could just show them, it'd be better. And so I walked over to a guy that was sitting at a table across from us in Starbucks, and he was jamming away at his computer. So I walked over to the guy, tapped him on the shoulder, and said, "Hey, man, what you're working on looks really interesting. Would you mind telling me about it?" And that guy happened to be Jeff, the CTO of Bizooku. And we sat down for the next hour while these young guys watched, and they were like, "What is going on?" And so a complete stranger was bringing me into his world, and that was Jeff. And that's just who Jeff is. And so meeting him for the first time, his excitement and passion is just contagious.
It is.
And so when you meet somebody like that, you're like, man, they're onto something good. And so I asked for his business card after that, and kept in touch with him, and the rest is history. I mean, I talked to Nick, and he's a business guy, and so hearing how excited he was about what Bizooku was doing and so forth, and then he started talking to Greg Bird in the operating room, and we it's a longer story than that, but as much as that's how I got started with it, I just really kind of fell in love with the passion and that Jeff had with what he was doing with Bizooku.
I can see that.
It was cool. Yeah.
Awesome. So let's get into the next one, vision of Bizooku. So you're talking about how you got involved and you're putting action in, showing a couple of people you're mentoring. Where do you see Bizooku going, and where do you see yourself going in through Bizooku?
Okay, there's a couple things I look at. You look at the short-term vision and the long-term vision. That's kind of how I break things out.
Right.
And I think in the short-term vision and the goals of what we're doing here as a company is if we're just focused on making the best product we can possibly make.
Yeah.
And so we're in the process of launching the best platform in the mobile industry right now. And so the way I look at it is kind of like Apple, what they did with the personal computer. I mean, back then it was so difficult to get access to a computer. You had to pay thousands of dollars. It was really, really expensive. Nobody had one in their house. They were huge monstrosities of machines. And so what Steve Jobs did was build it so it was compact. You could bring it into your home, and really built it so it was accessible to everybody. And he built this awesome technology that anybody could access anytime. Yeah. And now we know the computer is pretty much on our phone now. Our smart devices, they can do so many different things. And so when you're looking at mobile, I think we're really innovating and bringing this great technology, because our technology, what we're doing with contextual real-time changes and smart app technology, there's just no comparison to it. So what has been reserved to the big boys like the Microsofts and different companies that people could afford it, people think that it costs millions of dollars to build apps, hundreds of thousands of dollars to build apps. And you hear these stories, and so when we start looking at it, we bring that to people. We bring mobile to people inexpensively. They can afford it, so it's no longer reserved for the Microsofts of the world. Now it's the entrepreneur that's just starting out their business for the first time. It's the small business owner that maybe just put up a website and they're looking to get it mobile. We can get them there quickly and really inexpensively. But then not only that is now apps these days they're static, and so what we're doing with our roadmap is we're building apps that change real time and contextual. So where I'm at, what time of day it is, Those are context to me. So our smart app technology understands that about
Right.
it, and it changes real time. And so to bring that technology to somebody that couldn't otherwise have it, that's what I'm excited about. And the short-term goals is really just to build the best product on the planet when it comes to mobile, and I believe we're doing that. And then the long-term goals, like I always say, is I don't really look at the long-term goals so much, because I think if we do that and we expect that we're going to get this or we're going to do this, that we're kind of laying out something, and we're also putting a ceiling on ourselves, because a lot of people know right now the mobile industry is so large that we don't know how big it's going to get. We don't know where the direction is going. And that's what's so cool about Jeff's vision of what the company is doing too, and aligning that roadmap. We can always go in different directions with mobile, and that's what's so cool about Bizooku. And so when we're looking at that, I get excited because we're not putting a ceiling on it. I see, like, we could have those stories where the WhatsApps of the world,
Right.
they went from, going on food stamps to going to the place where they used to buy groceries and signing that $8 billion check when they wrote it across. And I'm excited that we're going to be able to do that for small business owners, that they're going to be able to have technologies, and we're going to be a part of that story,
Right.
building these massive stories for these small businesses that turned into these big businesses. And I don't think we're just going to do that with one company. I think it's going to be multiple companies that are coming through. They understand that, hey, I can have a mobile presence now, and what that's going to do for their business. So long term, I don't know what's going to happen, but I do know that with what we're doing, we're already seeing results really quickly with the real estate agents that we've got going. We've got people that own small business, restaurants in different capacities, whether you're a brand new entrepreneur, it doesn't really matter. People are using our technology and it's working. I'm loving watching what's happening. So, they say sky's the limit. I say the sky's the very beginning. So
It's the view, right?
We'll see what's about to happen, but it's going to get really exciting really quickly.
That's awesome. I'm really excited to be
Sure.
a part of the team with you guys, and being a part of everybody else, a part of this team. So let's switch gears a little bit. Get more in like the personal side of things, more of like what your family members, and I know you have your cousin Nick, who's a part of this that you've done business with. Besides Bizooku,
Sure.
What do you guys like? What do you personally want to be remembered for, like after Bizooku or during Bizooku, and within your family members?
Yeah, I think that's a cool question, because when you look at Nick and I, when we first got into business together, I look at us like kind of the yin and yang. We're so different people when it really comes to doing business. So I think that's why we work so well together. And when we come together, and I knew when we first started building business together, I knew what would keep us together and moving forward. It was always going to be our alignment and our own visions, and so we're cousins. And so being its family, a lot of my personal goals have to do with legacy and family. We didn't come from a line of entrepreneurs and business owners. I don't know of anyone in our family that owned businesses before us, and you hear those stories about people. It's like the first time someone went to college. In our family, it was like you went to college, you got a job, and that's what it was, and that's how I became an engineer.
Right.
And just understanding that you could think outside the box and do some really, really big things. But along with those lines comes lessons. And so the things that I really hold near and dear to me is, the Bible says it's like a fool leaves an inheritance to his children, where a wise man leaves an inheritance to his children's children.
Right.
So thinking about that, and legacy and an inheritance, for me, it means more about the lessons that you're passing on, the things that you can teach, the things that are going to be the long-lasting things, not the things that you're going to leave your kids, or the amount of money that you may leave your kids, but it's that long-lasting impression that really turns the tide of our whole entire family history and creating a new way. Now, it's not a way everybody's going to choose. It's not something that everybody's going to participate in, but that's what I enjoy the most about entrepreneurialism is you find the person that has that deep desire and passion to go do something different and build something from scratch. That's really what an entrepreneur looks like to me, somebody that can build something from nothing.
Right.
And so I get excited about that, leaving that legacy, passing and instilling those different values into our family, and seeing where that's going to change the tide. And that probably won't be around to see it, but that's knowing that I was a part of changing that in my lifetime. We'll probably be able to see some different things. So from a personal perspective, that's really what I look at.
Really like that. Last thing, I know there's a lot of people that are trying to be entrepreneurs nowadays. I know you said it before. It's kind of the hit word to say. It's like trending, I guess, if you want to call it. Sexy. That's what I'm looking for.
Super sexy.
Everyone wants to be an entrepreneur. So what would be your advice for an aspiring entrepreneur? and maybe give them a few tips of what you've gone through.
Yeah, like you just said, I think today's day and age, it's the entrepreneur is like the sexy word of the week. You know, it's you could become an entrepreneur. You go out and you own your own business. Now I'm an entrepreneur, and look at me. You know, and but I think when you're going into, the best advice I can give to an aspiring entrepreneur, somebody that really wants to change that tide, like we were talking about, I'd say number one, it's really possible. Do something. You know, I really believe if you really want to get ahead in life, you got to build a business. You got to do something different. It's so when you're looking at that, I think going in with the right expectation is super important. So many times, and I say that people come in and say, I want to be an entrepreneur and a business owner and all that, but really what they're doing is they're looking at the end result. They're hearing that story of the WhatsApps, like we were talking earlier, the $8 billion paycheck. They're seeing the results. They hear that deal that somebody made in real estate and investing, and they're making a ton of money, and so they look at that and say, well, I can do that too if he can do that. That's a great attitude to have. I love that attitude. But understanding that there is a lot that goes into that, and it's not day one. So when you're going to jump into something, you got to go all in. Right. Okay. So when you start with an idea or a passion, you got to really be passionate. I had a mentor that once asked me, he's like, hey, you know, you love what you do, and I went through all college 5 years, and I got out, and I was building this great bridge project, and I loved what I was doing, and I could watch this bridge, and it was an amazing bridge, and I just felt like I was at the peak of what I was doing. I was 24 years old in engineering, and then I was looking at people that were 64, and I was like, man, do I really want to do that? But at the same time, I was like, I love what I did. I couldn't complain. And there was a guy that came into my life, and he asked me, like, do you love what you do? And I said, yeah, I really do. And he said, would you do it for free? And that's something that really impacted my life, because I heard those words and I really started thinking about it. I was like, wow, I wouldn't. And so I started really asking myself, am I really passionate about this? And I think if you're going to be an entrepreneur, expect not to get paid. And what I mean by that is you're not looking at the end result. You're not looking at making the millions of dollars down the road or anything like that. Those are the true stories. Right. But there's numbers for a reason. They say 9 out of 10 businesses fail within their first year. So if I'm going to open my own business, you don't want to become a casualty to numbers. Right. I never wanted to be that. So I knew it was hard going in. I knew that people had told me, you know, you've got to expect not to get paid for the first 3 years. And the only way you can do that is if you're extremely passionate about it. So keep that perspective. But I love that in the country that we live in, we have that opportunity to do that. You know, so many people in other places in the world don't live in the United States or free countries for that matter. They're just trying to figure out how to live like to the next day, how to survive by the end of the day. And so they're not thinking about building businesses and massive things to impact people. We have that opportunity in the United States, and I love that about that. But I'd say it comes with constraints. Right. Okay. So if you're going to jump into it, go all in, work your butt off. I like when people say, "Work your face off, man." Like, you know, so work your face off, and it's true. It's not going to be easy. So it starts with a dream, but understand you are going to go through the struggle. Have that expectation. There is going to be the struggle. It's going to be hard. But the thing that's going to get you through is you wake up in the morning and say, I really, really love what I do. Exactly. And when you're really, really passionate about it and you expect not to get paid, that's when things can start to change. That's where it flips. It's like a switch. It flips in a dime. Now you're starting to get the results. So people didn't have overnight results, and it's not something that's even real out there. Is they think you can get instant results, the WhatsApp guys and stuff like that. That's not even instant results. I mean, how long were they on food stamps before they realized, oh my gosh, somebody just offered us a big payday? And that doesn't even always happen for people too. Those are the crazy stories. But I know that is possible. And so for anybody that's an aspiring entrepreneur, I would say come in with the right expectations. Understand that it's not going to be easy. It's going to be hard. Expect not to get paid right away. Okay. But create that value for people. And then you will get the results that you really want to get. Awesome. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate it, man. It's always good to talk to you.
You got it, buddy.
All right, guys. I'll catch you later.
Let's get it.